Hello and welcome. You're watching the Tov Jewish News channel. With us today is world-renowned expert on the Middle East and Islam, Dr. Mordechai קידר. Dr. קידר, hello.
Nice to be here.
Dr. קידר, recently in the social media in general and in TikTok specifically, there was a trend of young kids saying that now when Israel is at war with Hamas and, transcendently with the Muslim world, they understand why did Al-Qaeda attack the US on 9/11. They talk about the letter that bin Laden wrote to the US, the famous bin Laden letter, where he says that his reasoning for hate towards the US is that Jews rule the US, is that Jews control banks and they control the media. And I wanted to ask you, what is the real reason that the radical Islamists hate the West? Is that the reason that the Jews rule over the West?
Well, there is a lot of reasons, and everyone picks the reasons which he likes. First of all, according to the core teachings of Islam, Islam is the only valid religion, while Christianity and Judaism are null and void. And therefore, Jews and Christians should live under the Islamic yoke as dhimmis, or al-dhimma as it is in Arabic, means with no rights, no states, because Islam is the only religion, and there is a rule in Islam which says al-Islam ya'lu wa la yu'la alayhi, means Islam is superior and nothing can be above Islam. This is the regular order of the world, is how it should be. However, what we see during the last hundreds of years, that the Christian world actually is superior, because they have better army, they have better weapons. They actually occupied Islamic countries, which is totally against Islam. They occupied Egypt, and they occupied Central Asia, and they occupied North Africa and the Middle East after the First World War. And Christians appear to be more powerful than Muslims. And this is something which boggles their mind, and they cannot accept it. This is why they hate the West, because the West is better, the West is more technologically advanced, the West actually defeated all the Islamic countries through the last hundreds of years. And this is why they hate the West. They envy the West, because the West is more technologically advanced, the West is democratic, life in the West is much better than in the Islamic world, and they envy the West, and this is why they hate the West. Now, they are looking for the reasons. And lo and behold, the Jews are there, and the Jews are actually the worst people in the world, according to Islam, because the Quran says that the biggest haters of Muslims are the Jews, and the Christians as well, but first of all, the Jews. And Judaism actually was the biggest challenge to Islam since the beginning of Islam, because many people understood that the Islam is no more than a replica of Judaism and a little bit of Christianity. And this is why already the Quran denigrates the Jews as descendants of apes and swines, people who hate Islam, prophet killers, as they got from Christianity, and all kinds of other namings of Jews which are aimed at denigrating the Jew and humiliating him. And here they see the Jews are much more advanced than Muslims. Jews are in the front line of science. And look at the Nobel Prizes, which Jews were the laureates of through the last, since Nobel Prizes started. Jews, although they are a small sliver of the world population, they became in the front line of science, real science, not Nobel Prize for Peace, but chemistry and physics and medicine and many things which are real science. And Jews are there. Jews are the prominent instrument players in the world. Jews are in politics, Leon Blum in the Israeli, led countries, Britain and France. And Jews are prominent even in the American society, regardless of their size in the population, and this is why Jews were hated. By the way, in Europe, the Nazi movement hated Jews, and they actually exterminated a third of our people. So, all in all, the bottom line, according to Islamic thinking, that the Jews are the worst element in the Western societies and the Western culture, which pushes the Western culture forward. And this is why the Jews are to be blamed for all the problems which are caused in the Islamic world, allegedly because of the West.
Dr. קידר, I want to show you a short scene from those videos, and I want you to tell us whether you think that this is an entire failure to understand the Muslim culture. So let's watch it.
My voice just wants to leave in majority of these situations, and this letter was insanely eye-opening. I really urge everybody to Google and read it.
So what is the reason that the West now started to talk about this letter and to accuse the Jews of it instead of really seeing the problem being the radical Islam? How does it work?
Develop the media as it is, the newspapers, radio, television, internet today, and the media actually penetrates every Islamic household because the kids are watching TV, are watching social media, and they are getting the messages of the West of human rights, political freedoms, women's rights, and so forth. And this is viewed as an assault on the Islamic tradition, because the tradition the Islamic tradition doesn't accept any freedoms, neither of human beings or especially women. And this is why the West, which is led by the Jews, of course, as they think, is actually defeating the Islamic world by the Western media, by the media outlets, which actually corrupt the Islamic children by all kinds of modern messages, which actually compete with the traditional messages of Islam. And of course, Jews are running the media, as we all think, means as they allegedly are. And therefore, the Jews are to be blamed for the fact that the Western media actually defeated the Islamic values in the battle on the heart of the 16-year-old girl.
Dr. קידר, we always hear this message that Islam is a religion of peace. The left-wingers all around the world say every time this message, every time they hear criticism towards Islam. But despite this message, everywhere in the West, where we see Islam and Western values coexisting, we see a clash between two of them. We see terrorist attacks. We see, turbulence in the streets. Is Islam really a religion of peace?
They base this allegation that Islam is the religion of peace on the similarity in sound of Islam and Salam. Salam is peace, Islam is Islam. So since Islam and Salam sound the same, or almost the same, they claim that there is the connection. There is actually no connection in Arabic. The only connection is that between Islam and Salam is people should Islamize themselves, means convert to Islam peacefully, means willingly. This is the only connection between these two words. That people should accept Islam, convert to Islam in a peaceful way. This is the only connection. Look at the situation in the Islamic world, let alone the West. What is the situation between Kurds and Turks? How much they fight, and they're all Muslims. What is the situation between the Sunnah and the Shia? How they kill each other in Iraq, in Syria, in Iran, in many other places. Look at the Iranian Islamic regime, how they crash the demonstrations of other Muslims in Iran, like the Ahwazis, the Arabs in Iran, or the Kurds, or the Baluchis, and the Azerbaijanis in Iran, and how they shoot them in the streets. This is peaceful Islam, of course. Look at the situation in Libya, how tribes are slaughtering each other. Look at Sudan, how the government treats the Darfur Islamic population. And look at almost everywhere. In Algeria, between 1992 and 1998, 150,000 Algerians were slaughtered by the brothers, and everyone there is a Muslim. So wherever you go in the Islamic world, you can see how Muslims are butchering Muslims, let alone the others, before the others. And of course, ISIS, how they behaved, and they claim to be Islamic, and they actually emulate the modus operandi of the early ages of Islam. And wherever you go, you see cruelty, you see savagery, you see barbarism within the Islamic world. Look, I'm not saying that every Muslim is a barbarian, but you cannot ignore the phenomenon of violence, severe violence, inside Islamic countries, inside Islamic societies. Look at the honor killings, how they kill their daughters if they dare to bring some shame to the family. So, and this is I think the biggest, I would say, biggest lie in the world, to say that Islam is the religion of peace. Not at all. It is a religion which, look, there is a saying in Islam, Din Allah be safe, means the religion of Allah, means Islam, should be implemented by the sword, safe. Okay? So to say that Islam is the religion of peace is maybe it gives you a peaceful life, it gives you some kind of reason why to live, near the turbulence of Western societies. And we do see many Westerners convert to Islam because in Islam they find some kind of meaning for their life, as it is opposed by, let's say, Sufi Muslims, who are rather peaceful, and others. But in general, when you look at the Islamic countries, not even one of them is peaceful enough to claim that Islam is religion of peace.
Dr. קידר, it's been an honor for me to speak to you. Thank you to all of our viewers. You're watching the Tov Jewish News channel. Subscribe to us on all of our social media platforms. Thank you. Have a great day.